It's July, it's that time of the year, and it is a BookTube classic, the mid-year freakout tag. This is basically a moment to look back at what you've been reading, what was good, what was a total waste of your time, and basically freak out of how much behind you are on your yearly reading. And yes, it's summer, so why not? Let's do a bit of freaking out. As always, I will be linking all the books I talk about down below in the description, so you can do your own research. So let's start at the beginning. I am behind. I normally average around 52, 55 books a year, a book a week, but this time I'm way behind. This year so far I have read 18 books and that's totally fine. I mean, it has been a very busy spring. I lost about a month of reading to renovations I was doing. I was working like 14 hours a day, and when I finally got off, I was too knackered to pick up a book. So yeah, there's a whole month's worth of reading just not spent on books. But let me get one thing very clear, and this is for anyone who needs to hear it. Even if you're behind, that's all right. It doesn't matter how many books you read in a year's time. So don't get stressed over numbers and goals and things like that. Just read because you like to and read because it's fun. And that being said, there are still 18 books I've read this year so far, so there is a lot to talk about. And the first question jumps right in. The best book I've read this year so far. And this one has to be, without a doubt, although there is a close second, The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. I absolutely love this book. I did this one as an audiobook. It got me through winter. It is such a beautiful story. It is a story told about a cat, Nana. He goes on a road trip with his owner. It's not really clear why they do this at first, but as they meet old friends and relatives and passers-by, each of these individual stories starts to daisy chain into an overarching story, and things get clear why Nana and his owner are undertaking this voyage. And when it hits you, it destroys you. It is an emotional book, it is a beautiful book, it is a lyrical book, it is beautifully written and an excellent audiobook to boot. Voice of the cat was done ever so well, so yeah, I enjoyed this one. I absolutely enjoyed this one, and if you love literary fiction, if you love audiobooks, if you love cats, if you love a good road trip story, then this book is absolutely for you. So yeah, very big contender for my best book of this year will probably be The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. Second question, the best sequel I've read this year. This has to be Finlay, Donovan Knocks 'em Dead by Elle Cosimano. Now, if you don't know the Finlay Donovan series, it is thriller, comedy, romance without being a romance. It is a series about a single mom. She's divorced, she's a crime writer, and when one day in the first part of this series she gets mixed up for being a hired killer, she just stumbles from one accident into another, and it is a delight to read. Now, this is absolutely not highbrow literature, this is not literary fiction, this is just fun. This is sheer fun, and I absolutely have been enjoying this series. And there are 4 or 5 installments in the series now. One is a spin-off with a side character, and I will keep on reading them as long as they keep on delivering. This series is just fun to read, just ideal to take a load of, to just read something easy and something you can absolutely enjoy. So yeah, absolutely one of my favorite guilty pleasures, I guess, one of my favorite series to enjoy. Finlay Donovan series by Elle Cosimano. Do check them out. I'm not even sorry for recommending them. Then, third question, a new release from this year that I haven't read yet. And this has to be Any Bot by Greer. Now, I pinged this one as a book to watch very early in the year when it wasn't out yet. It finally has shown up and I got it, I think a few weeks ago, but I haven't got to reading it just yet. Now, this is the story about Annie. She is a robot, a cyborg, and yes, as you probably guessed, she is a robot girlfriend. Now, she exists to fulfill one purpose, and that is to be the ideal girlfriend for her owner dog. So she has dinner ready when he comes home, she wears certain outfits, she does what she does. I guess we should call it robot-human interfacing. I don't know, haven't read it yet, but she also learns. And as she learns how to behave like a woman, ironically, she becomes less and less the perfect girlfriend. As more human she becomes, the less ideal her role is. And this, of course, affects their relationship. It's no longer a relationship of an owner and a servant, I guess, a thing, a possession, but it starts to evolve into something more intricate and more complicated. So yeah, absolutely looking forward to reading this one. It sounds ever so interesting. The premises had me sold the day I read the blurb. I've been waiting half a year for it, and yeah, this summer I will absolutely be reading Any Bot by Greer, one of my most anticipated releases. Then the most anticipated release for the next half year, so for the rest of 2024, has to be Hera by Jennifer Saint. Now, if you have been following me on this channel, I've been shouting, yelling, begging, cajoling for years now to have a Greek mythology retelling, a feminist retelling from the perspective of Hera. The mother, the wife, the spouse whose husband always goes out and cheats on her with anyone and anything. So yeah, I think she has a thing or two to tell. Now, in Greek mythology, Hera is often depicted as petty and vengeful and the one who thwarts Hercules, and I think she is due a retelling. I think she is due some good public relations, and this book might just be it. Now, what do we know about it? It is written by Jennifer Saint. She has done many Greek mythology retellings already, Ariadne, Electra, which were okay, which were quite good. So I'm absolutely happy that she's writing this book. We had a cover reveal. Again, you can see that here. And it is due to be published somewhere about mid-end of August this year. So very, very soon now. And yeah, you can bet your Mount Olympus that I'm going to rush to the bookstore and this book will surface somewhere sometime on this channel very soon. So yeah, absolutely looking forward to that one. Hera by Jennifer Saint. I guess probably my most anticipated release for the next half of this year. Then, biggest disappointment. There are 3 that come to mind already, but I'll stick to one. And I'll go for a book that is not necessarily a bad book. It is just that I had very, very high expectations of it. I absolutely thought it was going to be a book that I was going to adore, I was going to love. It had everything going for it, and then it disappointed. And for me, that book was The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. And again, this book has everything that I would love in a book. It has a literary mystery, a literary detective story, where they search one of the Bronte sisters' lost manuscripts. It has several point of views, it switches between time and place. A part of the book is told in 1920s Paris, which again was a very interesting period in the city at that time. Everything about this book ticked all of my boxes. Is it a bad book? Absolutely not. It is well written and I have seen and heard a lot of people absolutely raving and ranting about it, about how good it is, and good on them. For me, it's somewhat disappointed. And again, that might be totally my own fault with having such high expectations, but for me the book tried to be too much at once. It was a love story, it was a social drama, every character has like a difficult relationship or a difficult link with their parents or some trauma in their life, and then there was the mystery, the literary mystery, and then there were several point of views, and in the end, it was too much. I would have loved a more simple, straightforward story and just stick to those few items that were absolutely promising. But again, a lot of people like it, so do check it out and do make up your own mind. You might not agree with me. If you've read it, I am absolutely looking forward to hear what your thoughts on it were. Let me know down below in the comments, because yeah, that's just my opinion. But for me, so far this year, the biggest disappointment was The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. Then we have the biggest surprise this year. So, okay, confession time. Up to a few weeks back, I had never before read a book by Brian Sanderson. I know. Then a few weeks back, on a whim, because I had an Audible credit, I could get an audiobook, I decided to pick up Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brian Sanderson. And I will say, I absolutely loved it. This book is one of the hidden secret projects by Brian Sanderson. Again, not really versed in the whole Cosmere, Brian Sanderson world and all the things going on. So for me, it was just my first book. And I will say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. The world building was very creative. It felt fresh. It was new. It was fantasy, but with a big wink to sci-fi and fourth dimension wall breaking. And yeah, I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of it. And of course, this now has me thinking that I maybe should delve deeper and start to read more Brian Sanderson. And again, I might need your help with it because I have no clue where to start. Let me know if you have read a lot of Brian Sanderson or if you have enjoyed some of his books. Again, let me know down below because I have no idea where to start, but I feel that I've been missing out on this author that everyone has been reading except me. And yeah, I want to read more Brian Sanderson. So absolutely let me know, should I start with the more classic series? Should I go on with the secret project books? I guess there is also this A Wizard's Frugal, what's its name? I get no idea, but I'm here, I'm eager. Yeah, recommend them to me. What should I pick up next by Brian Sanderson? Or was this his one good book, in fact? So yeah, again, let me know down below in the comments. I am Sanderson curious. Then new favorite author this year. I guess I'll have to go with Claire Keegan. Now again, I had never read anything by Claire Keegan before, but you guys kept on recommending her. I should pick up some books by her. So yeah, I ended up picking up Antarctica, a collection of Claire Keegan's short stories, and I was blown away. Claire Keegan is absolutely the queen of the short story. I will happily admit that you were right. You were absolutely right to recommend her to me, and yeah, she might be one of my new favorite authors. I'm definitely going to pick up more books by her. I've been recommended Small Things Like These. I've been recommended Foster. So yeah, there's still much to discover about Claire Keegan and her books. So I'm on a mission. I will be reading, I guess, all of her books, especially if they keep on delivering this hard as Antarctica did. So absolutely new favorite author, Claire Keegan, no doubt about that. And then we have my newest fictional crush. Yeah, we're not doing that one, are we? The next one is much more viable. It is my new favorite fictional character. And I think I will go for Tress of the Emerald Sea here. She's this young girl who just very naive, hasn't seen anything of the world. She's very set in her ways. She's happy to just live on a rock in the sea, wash windows, bake pies, and she has discovered this very cozy, very solitary life, and that's fine for her. But then things happen. She has to go out into the world. And yeah, she changes while staying the same, and she does so in a very endearing manner. So yeah, one of the characters I was absolutely charmed by, absolutely loved reading all of her adventures and how awkward she was, how naive she was, but also how these things became her very, very strong points in the end. And even see how she changes from this girl that never want to impose on anyone into this person who actually knows that it is okay to ask for help. It is okay to rely on others. And it all comes together in this one quote that she has. And it's spoiler free, but at one point she says, "It is okay to be the person that has to be saved, because that means that you've earned the fact that people are willing to save you." So yeah, from her very unruly hair that goes all directions to her cup collection, to her love for pies and a very, very strict social etiquette, I absolutely adored Tress of the Emerald Sea. She's probably one of my new favorite fictional characters. A book that made me cry, well, again, the Traveling Cat Chronicles. Not going to go into details, you just owe it to yourself to go out, pick up a copy, audiobook or physical book or Kindle, whatever you love reading, and start reading, experiencing this ever so beautiful, ever so emotional book. Can't recommend it enough. The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. It made me laugh, but indeed, it also made me cry. Then a book that made me happy, and I think I will go with Nation by Terry Pratchett here. I was gifted this beautiful copy for my birthday. Hadn't really heard of this book yet, wasn't one of the Discworld series, so this was one of the books that I didn't own, that I hadn't read just yet, and I went in with zero expectations, but still knew it was Pratchett and it wasn't going to disappoint me. And Pratchett never disappoints. Now I will say from the boot, this is not a Discworld book. It feels, while it is still a Pratchett book, it feels more subdued when it comes to silliness and puns and tongue-in-cheek. It still has a lot of that, but it is toned down. It is not Discworld with silly trolls and hats and vampires that turn to ash when there is a flash of a photography. None of that. But from the moment that he tones down all of this silliness, all of a sudden there is room for a very, very profound story. This is a story about a nation, an island nation, a people that is swept away by a tsunami, a big wave, and there are very, very few survivors. At the beginning of the book, there is just one survivor, and he meets up with another survivor, a girl who survived a shipwreck and comes from a very different culture. And the two of them have to work together, have to survive together, and have to develop this new melting pot, this new culture in between them. But then others start to arrive, other survivors with their ideas, with their culture, and it is a very, very well thought, well written story about what culture actually is. I will even go as far as to say that that this book is up there with some of the best Terry Pratchett books that I've read so far. It is a standalone, so it doesn't require that investment you have with a series like this quilt. So yeah, if you're a Terry Pratchett fan, if you haven't read it before, or if you're just curious for something totally different, totally new, then do check out Nation by Terry Pratchett. Highly recommend it. Absolutely love this book. Then the most beautiful book I bought this year, again confession time, it was totally a cover buy. Haven't read it so far, but from what I hear of it, it just happens to be a good book as well. And this is a Dutch version of the Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, and yeah, I mean, this is absolutely the most gorgeous book that I've bought this year. I mean, these naked covers as well, and it has these gorgeous end papers, very colorful, they just bounce off the page, vibrant, explosive. Yeah, this was absolutely a cover buy. I fell in love with it from the moment I saw it. Still have to read it again, but yeah, I'm told this is a very good book. Two birds with a stone, I guess. The most beautiful book I bought this year so far. The Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. And then, as our last question, a book that I absolutely have to read, have to finish this year. It's probably Prophet's Song by Paul Lynch. This book was the Booker Prize winner of last year. There's a new one already, and yeah, for some reason I have still not picked this one up. This has been on my TBR the longest now, I guess. It just stays there on the shelf, watching me, judging me, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason it intimidates me. I never feel in the mood for something like that. I hear it is an excellent book, it is a great book, it is absolutely worth my time, and again, for some reason I just can't make myself pick it up and start to read it. If you're not familiar with this book, it is an alternate history dystopian Dublin set story. Ireland is falling apart, there is a tyrannical government, and yeah, we follow some survivors, some people who are just fed up and want to do something about it. But what are you willing to do? What are you willing to leave behind? What are you willing to sacrifice to save society and to save your world? So yeah, again, this should be a book for me, and I will probably love it once I finally start reading it. But yeah, for some reason, I just can't seem to pick up Prophet's Song by Paul Lynch. But at one point I will have to. This is one of the books that I will have to finish before the end of the year, so I can include it in my top 10, top 20 books of this year. So yeah, again, feel free to spam me in comments in this video and future videos asking me if I already started reading this one. Keep me accountable. I have to read this book by the end of the year. Prophet's Song by Paul Lynch. And now I want to hear from you. What was the best book you've read this year so far? And if there are any of the other questions you want to answer, feel free, have at it in the comments. Thank you for watching. Again, it means the world to me. Like, subscribe, comment. I would love to hear from you. And should you, by any chance, be in the market for some more excellent bookish recommendations, well, that's easy. All you have to do is watch this video.